Hey guys, Metal Viking 82 here, back with a new Viking Orations. Got another review for you today, and today I'm going to be talking about the split release between Ruin and Absconder. Kind of a dual release between Goat Throne Records and the death metal cult. And I haven't really done very many split releases, if any at all. So I'm going to break it down by each individual band inside. So we're going to start things off with Ruin, who are a death metal band from California. Been around since 1990, featuring Satan on vocals, D. Muerte on drums, Spine on bass, Destroy on guitars, and Bricks on lead guitars. And honestly, I have always said that Ruin are the kind of death metal band whose sound is just so heavy and so filthy that you feel like you need to take a shower after you're done listening to it. And their side of this split is really no different. And it actually, because, you know, Ruin sings a lot about serial killers and murder and darkness and evil. So their side of the split starts with what sounds like a children's church choir singing. And, you know, right away, it just really sets that very creepy, unsettling atmosphere. And then about 30 seconds in, things really start to get serious with their music. The guitars here are just heavy and just bludgeon you with these slow to kind of mid-paced riffs that can be kind of oppressive at times. And then they kind of give off a overall vibe of Mortician. I just get a lot of Mortician out of those riffs and the sound of them. Track number 4, No One Can Hear the Screams. The opening to the song especially reminds me of Mortician here. And it also has this really cool whammy bar-filled guitar solo at about the 2:27 mark that I really liked. Another thing, and as far as the guitars go, track number 2, Deathless Piles of Rot. Another cool solo with some nice whammy bar usage at 3:28 in that track. So really cool. I always love it when a band uses whammy bars in their solos. The bass on their side is just thick and heavy in tones. Very discernible in the mix, but doesn't really overshadow the guitars at all, I think. And it really works in tandem with them to really give the songs that nice heft that they need. Solid drum production on this. Nice snap to the snare. I really like the kick drum sound that they got here as well. And then some, you know, there's some really good blast beats on here. There's nothing too flashy about his style of playing on this. Just some really solid death metal drumming overall. Doesn't really do a whole lot of fancy drum fills or patterns or anything. Vocal-wise, they are just absolutely sick. I think that's the one thing about their sound that really makes you want to take a shower after you're done listening to it. You get this mix of low growls with these gurgly screams that are just simply nasty sounding when you listen to them. Excuse me. The only other thing I kind of picked out from their side of the split, which each band gets 4 songs apiece on here, is track number 3, Hideous End. It gives another example of the creepiness of the Ruin sound at the end when they kind of play this clip of a really slowed down Jack in the Box. And just that, I mean, a Jack in the Box already is unsettling in and of itself, but when you take the sound that it makes when you're cranking it up and you slow it, it just adds an extra level of creepiness for me. Now, moving on to Absconder. They are a death metal band out of Champaign, Illinois. Been around since 2009. Featuring Brad Boldak on bass and vocals, Josh Avila on drums. You have Mark Baldwin on guitars and Matt Filippo, sorry, totally butchered that, on guitars. I don't know how I could screw up that simple of a name. But yeah, their side actually starts with the sounds of someone being stabbed. Then the guitars kick in, and they're heavy with a they're heavy in tone with a kind of a little bit of a distortion to them. And honestly, their half of the split actually has a more down and dirty production to it, I think, and the atmosphere as well. And they use samples from horror films for pretty much all of their songs, I do believe. And, you know, the bass on here, on their side, is thick and can be heard just rumbling away throughout all the songs in the background. Drum production, much like the rest of the instruments on here and just the overall atmosphere of their songs, is down and dirty. But I think it kind of gets hurt a little bit by the production, as there's times that the double kicks, they seem to get a little lost in the mix. It's like throughout, and you can hear the, you know, kick drum going, but when he gets into the real double bass parts, it seems like it kind of gets buried in the mix. It gets lost under the guitars and the bass. a good example of that, track 7, My Rotting Head. There's some double bass sections in that just, to me, the bass gets lost in, the bass drum gets lost in that mix. Again, in terms of the playing style, nothing super flashy here. No real blast beats from their section, and they're, honestly, with Absconder sound, I really don't think they need blast beats, to be honest with you. The vocal performance in here was solid, I thought. Nice mix of kind of some mid-range growls with some really good screamed vocals as well. Track number 6, Ear-Ons. Here they have a kind of layered effect to them, where you get the growls with the, kind of wretched sounding screams right underneath, which just sounds absolutely sick. It kind of gives off a vibe of Lord Gore or Frightmare. Even the county medical examiners is another good example of that kind of layered vocal effect. Then you get into track number 7, going back to it, My Rotting Head. The main riff in this song, to me, just exudes evil, and that double bass that's going on underneath is just absolutely killer right as that riff kicks in, and kind of get a bit of a Coffins vibe off of this song for some reason. Overall, I think this is a really solid split from both bands. I think they turned out some really nasty sounding death metal, each of them. And it's nice that the production was a little bit different, so you can kind of tell where one band stops and then another band starts. And I join both of these guys individually. I've loved all of their releases so far that they've put out. And I definitely look forward to what's coming next from both of them. But if I had to pick a favorite out of this split, I would say the Ruin Sign is probably my favorite one, though that's not taking anything away from Absconder. Overall, I would give this an 8.5 out of 10 for a split. So yeah, definitely go check out the latest split from Ruin and Absconder. That is going to do it. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing. And until next time, stay brutal.